Hello, gorgeous, and thank you for joining us today. I'm your host, Kim Becker, and this is Hello, Gorgeous, everything beauty, cancer, and inspiration on Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. Our guest today is Nancy Solari. Nancy is an authentic and successful example of how you can live the life that you want with an empowered, positive mindset, regardless of the challenges that you face. And Nancy is no stranger to facing adversities. During her childhood and teenage years, she witnessed domestic violence and the divorce of her parents at the age of 10. During these years, she struggled watching her sisters battle with eating disorders and her mom fight breast cancer. Unfortunately, the trials that Nancy experienced continued, and at the age of 16, she was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa, and over the years experienced subtle yet measurable vision loss. Rather than letting this news, as well as her painful past, dissuade her from following her dreams, Nancy chose to persevere and now guide those who also want to overcome their obstacles. Nancy finds herself sharing her tools for success with audiences and groups all over the country. Nancy explored careers in broadcasting, the music industry, and real estate. However, Nancy wanted a career that would work with, rather than against, her blindness. She obtained her life coaching degree from the Institute of Professional Empowerment and launched her business in 2008, Living Full Out, with the intention of helping others realize their dreams. In addition to writing books and providing personal coaching, Nancy also speaks professionally, reaching out to a variety of audiences who enthusiastically embrace living full out. Nancy also hosts the inspirational variety talk show, Living Full Out, and the National Living Full Out with Nancy Solari radio show, which attracts callers in need of motivation to take action in their lives. Though today she is legally blind, Nancy continues to enjoy life and make connections with people. Outside of pursuing her career, Nancy can be found dancing with her friends, traveling to foreign countries, while exposing herself to new cultures, enjoying exercise and a healthy lifestyle, spending time with her service dog Lionel, and always reaching out to meet the next challenge in life head on and with a smile on her face. Hi, Nancy, and welcome to the show.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I am so excited to be here. I just have to tell you that I was doing research for our interview, and I went on your website, and the things that you've accomplished, and what I love most about is there are no excuses with you. You find the yes. You find a way to make things happen for yourself, and you really truly live the talk, and you live full out. And I think that's awesome, and I'm honored to have you here on our show to share your story.
Well, thank you so much. And I try to stand by, what living full out means. And, I think we all have our integrity of walking that walk and talking that talk, right? So I try to stand by that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting. I was telling a guest earlier today that I lost my husband. It'll be 2 years ago next week. And I have a son that's about to turn 17, and he's just done an amazing job. And I tried to use the death of my husband as an example to my son. And his behavior is that it truly is 10% what happens to us and 90% how we react to it. And I'm hoping that that's a life lesson that I've taught my son that will carry through. But you are a true example of that. It's 10% what happens and 90% how you react to it.
Absolutely. And, one of the things that I think has been kind of interesting over the years, because if I take, let's say pre-16 and earlier, divorced my parents, domestic violence, being told I'm going to go blind at 40, all those things, they hurt and they were scary and they were life-changing. But then later on in my life, when I had a financial crisis, when I had 5 miscarriages, when I went through, infidelity, infertility, you name it, it was interesting because those survival skills I had as a little girl were still with me as an adult woman. And it was kind of interesting because although the pain and the scary times were still there, it was like I had this inner confidence saying, you know what, you've been here before and you will survive this one too.
That's right.
So it's kind of interesting. We have to trust that inner voice, and we have to trust that core in us.
That's right. Well, and it's
Yep.
interesting too, I think, because all of these disadvantages that you've had in your life have made you the person that you are today. And so I can't imagine you being anybody else, especially all the investigating and the research that I did on your website and just learning so much about you. It's that all of those things that you went through even early in life are this vivacious person that you are. That's who that helped to create. So I can't imagine the person you would be had you not gone through all of those things.
It's funny. I do think about that because especially if I could see, I
Yes.
think about, gosh, what would I drive? Like
Right.
I think a convertible personally, but what would I drive? And
Right.
what would my sense of style be like? Because right
Yes.
now I go shopping with other people, so my style is kind of their style. I mean, for
Right.
all I know, I'm walking out the door totally not what I want to look like. I have no idea. But you're right. I mean, but I think it's kind of interesting, right? Because life has this way of kind of poking us in the side and saying, don't get too comfortable. And
That's
the
right.
minute we do, something else happens.
That's right. That's right. And you
Yep.
always wait. And I think that that's what I love about your story, and what you exude by living full out is that, some people wait for the perfect circumstance. I remember years ago, my husband and I were married for 9 years before we had our son. And I remember telling people, I need to get X amount of dollars in the bank before I have a child. And I remember them looking at me and kind of crossing their eyes and going, what? And I said, I want to make sure that I'm financially stable before I bring another life into the world. And what they said to me, then you'll never have a child. Right? Because if you wait for
Yes.
the circumstances to be perfect, you won't ever do it. And that's what I love about what you do. You just go forward with whatever you've got right now. You just take that first step.
Well, and yeah, and thank you for saying that. And I think your example is spot on because the thing that's interesting is these moments that where life pokes us on the side, right? Or these times of hardship, they really are meant to center us, to teach us to be more patient. So I am such a patient person. And at the same time, it is kind of game on because, whether we have blindness or cancer or anything, we always just have to remember that we just have to live for today,
That's right.
right?
That's right.
And even if we go the distance and we live a full life up to 100 years old, it doesn't mean everyone around us will. You know what I
That's right.
mean?
That's right.
So I think these hardship moments are just really great reminders that it's not about how much you have in the bank. I mean, it helps, but it's not about that. It's not about what you're driving, but it's really about creating memories and, you know, pressing the limits of what you can do personally and trying new things. And yeah, that's the secret to life, I
That's
think.
right. Well, what do you tell? So you are a life coach and you work with people, and I'm sure you've come across people who are stuck, that basically wait for that perfect moment for them to take that first step. Or, I can't start my business until XYZ gets into place, and whatever it may be, I can't start a speaking career until this happens. What do you do to coach them up from there? How do you encourage them and let them know just what you said? Look, it's not how much money you've got in your bank. It's not, you just have to start. What do you do to encourage them?
Well, I encourage them in two ways, two specific ways. Number one, the what if game, right?
Mm,
What if I
yes.
wait and I wait and I wait? What if it never happens? And it's better to have tried and to have failed, or have tried and said, "Oh, I need a little bit more time, or a little bit more training, or learning, or money, or whatever it is." But to turn around and say, "Oh gosh, I wish I had done that 10 years ago." We hear people say that all the time with investments, right? I wish I had bought a property years ago.
Right.
I wish I had
Right.
started saving for retirement years ago. And so you just don't want to be in that I wish I had place. And
Hmm.
then the other thing I wanted to say is when when we go through again these hardships, these stressful times in our life, and if we're looking to pay it forward and volunteer or coach or speak or just be a really good friend to another person going through a similar situation or different circumstance, if we're waiting, if we're looking for all the stars to align, think of all the people that are missing out on your support
Mm-hmm.
because you're waiting. So when you wait, all the people between now and when you're really ready, which could be a decade from now, right?
Right.
All those people miss out on the greatness of your teachings,
That's right.
of your nuggets of insight. And so
That's right.
that's pretty powerful, and that's a reason to start now.
That's right. That's right. And I agree with you because, the biggest thing is for me, um, I don't want any what ifs. I would rather move ahead and fail and say, well, I tried it and it didn't work, so I've got to try something else, than to stand back and just say, gosh, I wonder if I would have taken that first step. And again, you're just such a prime example of this because you truly could just, nobody would blame you if you sat in your house and did nothing. Nobody would blame you. And that's what I told my son too. Nobody would blame you if you laid in your bed and pulled your covers up at your head. But God gave us free will. And so because we have that free will, I love what you've done. So tell me about the start of Living Full Out. Like, how did you start that, and why did you start Living Full Out?
Oh, that is actually a really great question and good story. So we actually opened our doors in 2008. But in 2007, I was dating a gentleman who was dealing with depression. So here I had retinitis pigmentosa, going blind by the minute, and he had depression, and it was clinical depression, and he took medication for it, but it too was getting more and more severe. And it was really hard in that relationship because I realized the pain and the worry and all that comes with all, many different health conditions, right?
Mm-hmm.
At the same time, I was doing real estate, and I didn't drive anymore. At that point, my vision had decreased to a place where I couldn't drive. And, I would ask him, can you drive me to an open house? Can you help me do this? And he didn't want to, not mainly because of his depression. It affected his moods, but then it made me feel bad, like, oh gosh, I'm a burden and I shouldn't ask. I should never ask, that conversation,
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And then in selling real estate, I would see people buy these homes, and I was really proud that I was able to help people buy an investment or sometimes the biggest purchase of their life. But I knew that I could do more, and I wanted to take how I saw people in real estate, how they would get in arguments over paint or floors, or how finances would break people apart. And I just thought, I want to create a company where people can bring those fears, those concerns, but also that we can kind of, put the fire out and reignite a new passion so they can have a new dream, a new goal. And
Love
so
that.
that's how Living Full Out was actually born. It was just kind of this colossal chaos moment in my life, and we've never looked back.
Wow. Another question kind of to that point, you said that you had to, the gentleman that you were dating at the time, he had to drive you. How have you, as women, right? We want to do everything on our own. We hate to ask for help. We hate to be dependent on anybody. How have you overcome that? Because in order for you to achieve the success that you want to achieve, you have to ask for help. And so how have you found ways around that to be able to ask for that help that you need?
That is, again, great question, because so it kind of depends on in what way. So if it's a personal need, a lot of times people just want gratitude. They
Mm,
want to know that they're not being taken advantage of. They want to know that they're making a difference. And so there's two sides to that, because if you don't ask, then you're never giving that person the opportunity to be of service. And people
amen.
crave being of service. People
Yes,
are looking for that moment in the day where they can have a moment of purpose,
that's
right?
right.
So
Yes.
when we don't ask, we don't give them that gift. On the same token, though, you have to think about that person's time, and are they the right person? I truly believe that we have different personalities in our lives. Some are going to be more empathetic. Some are going